So if you have 2 kids at daycare, all those costs combined, if you earn like less than $60,000 or $70,000 and have 2 young kids, the math probably doesn't math. We're back in your life, and today we're talking about why is the one income household dead? Michael, I think about this when I do financial plans, and they're like, our finances are broken. What's wrong? And I'm like, you both need to work for the plan to work. But then I recall back to the 90s. What
80s.
were your...
80s.
The 80s?
Gotta be 70s or 80s, man.
No,
70s,
90s for sure.
One income household's been dead for decades.
No.
Yeah.
If you think about if I use an example of my wife Hannah, her parents, they lived off a hairdresser's salary for like 6 years or something. One hairdresser salary. Granted, very fair. I know what you're going to say. They live in Invercargill, right?
Yeah.
Cost of houses in the 1990s, I think you paid 3 shillings.
Yeah.
So I know like their mortgage repayments would have been really cheap.
Yeah.
But back in the day, anybody could afford to buy a house, afford to take time off work. But now it's like the ultimate flex to be able to have like one person staying at home hanging out with kids.
Yeah.
Where did we go wrong, Mike?
I would say it started back World War II. When all of a sudden the men were off fighting wars, women came into productive industry, and after the war ended, that didn't revert, right? Like to a degree it kind of did, but that was kind of the start where it was like, okay, we can actually have both members of the household being productive from a work perspective. And that just kind of continued on, right? As household tasks became more efficient with like automated machines, and then the style of work changed. So less like labor intensive work, more service industries were created. So that made it easier to have 2 people working as well. So I think a lot of that kind of cultural shift happened early on in the 1960s, 70s, that timeline. But then what happens is once you have more income coming into the households, you have more disposable income, you start to get inflation, right? That cost of living starts to go up. And on a long enough timeline, if you look at it, that's kind of where this all started.
Yeah, the cost of living piece is, because I know a lot of people who would like to spend more time at home with their kids.
Not me.
Especially if they're like, I don't know, before school age.
Yeah.
So they don't have to send them to daycare.
What about my cat?
Yeah.
Can I spend more time with my cat at home?
I don't think you get any government subsidies on that, but you can if you like.
My cat hates me.
But like opposed to they're only going to be young for a certain period of time,
Yep.
being able to spend some time with them while they are that age. But you're right. Over the past 5 years, inflation's risen 23%, right? And even though mortgage rates are dropping, you still got, rates, insurance, groceries, everything is so much more expensive.
And it's not going backwards. It's just getting more expensive at a slower rate.
Yep. And I look at I do financial plans for people on like a 200 grand household, one person earning 200 grand. And he goes to me, I remember talking to one person specifically who I'm pretty sure listens to the podcast. And he was like, hey, James, I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Why am I going backwards when I earn 200 grand a year? And they got 2 kids. And I was like, it's pretty straightforward, my guy.
Money in, money out.
Yeah. Your wife works part-time and you've made a conscious decision that you want to spend time with your with your kids, and that's completely cool. But the implications is on the finances. But if you rewind that person 30 years, they'd be sweet. They'd be like chipping through the mortgage. They'd be able to go on a holiday. They wouldn't be too stressed. I think it's just all inflation.
Yeah. And again, it's really important to weigh these things up because money's not everything. There are other things in life that you want to experience, like, being there for your kids. But again, it's really important if you are thinking about these decisions to do the math.
Yep.
Right. And go, cool, here's the choice I'm making. Here's the outcome it's going to give me, whether that's financial, kids, whatever, right? You just need to do the math.
The other bit is debt to income ratios as well, right? Like if you think about debt to income ratios in the 1990s versus now, completely different.
Yeah, 100%. And again, it's, when we see this through the mortgage application, and I'm like, well, if both of you were working, because effectively you just half the salary, right, that's coming in. And if only one person's working, they earn 200 grand. That's great, but it's just basically the same as 100K each person working in one household.
Yeah. So a big part of it, of why the one income household is dead, is because everything's much more expensive. I think that's pretty widely known. The other bit though is there was a lot of people who wanted to kill the one household income. Obviously in the 1970s and the 1980s, the big thing was that a lot of women didn't work. They were at home looking after the children. In the 1960s, fewer than 40% of women in New Zealand were in paid work. Compared to today, over 67% of women who are working age are part of the labor force. So it is obviously different times as well, Michael.
Yeah, it's one of the highest rates in the OECD, right?
So, I mean, the other bit, right, is if you have one person not working, yes, they may want to spend time with the children, but it impacts your ability to achieve all of your goals. There's also huge implications around KiwiSaver balances, missing out on potential work opportunities, which can impact your salaries in the future. They are all things you need to be conscious of, Mike.
Those are one of those things where I think it's really important to just do the math before you make these decisions. And, we've got some examples of that math after the break.
Guys, I'd just like to say thank you for everybody that watches the podcast. We have over 50,000 downloads on it a month, which is just wild. At the start, it was just mine and Mike's mum watching it. The reason we do this podcast is to help more Kiwis take control of their financial future. The way you can help is by liking this video, sharing it to a friend so we can help more Kiwis secure their financial future. Now, back to the episode.
So James, you're always talking to us about Cooper's daycare costs and how expensive it is. Let's look at some of the math on that.
Yeah, so if you look at childcare costs, they do range from $250 to $400 per week. And then there's also after school care of $100 to $150 once the kids are back at school. So there's still an implication over there. Obviously, some people, Mike, I don't know if you know this, they have more than one child.
Yeah.
So you could double, triple those costs. I mean, we did the Peppa Pig episode about how you also have to upgrade your home. But the big thing, childcare is super expensive. I mean, yeah.
I often hear people be like, there's no point in me going back to work because the childcare equals my salary.
Oh, Hannah and I have for sure had those conversations with our second baby on the way. Hannah's in her third trimester already.
So when would it make sense for Hannah to stay home with the kids?
So, I mean, like in this example, we're talking about maybe like $20,000 per child. And that's, remember, after tax dollars. So if you have 2 kids at daycare, all those costs combined, we're probably talking about like
60, 70 grand.
If you earn like less than $60,000 or $70,000 and have 2 young kids, the math probably doesn't math. And then if it's getting close as well, then you're actually thinking about the trade-off as, well, I might make a little bit more money, but I get to spend all this quality time with my kids while they're young. So I think a really big thing is obviously first, before you have children, as much as you can, make sure you've got a good emergency fund set aside to make this much easier for you. Make sure you have a plan for what you are going to do. It might require sacrifice before you have children to set yourself up. So you've got a really decent emergency fund so you can be able to prioritize these things. And the more steps you can take early in your life to buy a property, keep a budget, increase your income, focusing on paying down debt. If you got $1 million mortgage and you have kids, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to do these things than if you have a $200,000 mortgage. But I think the main thing is going like, it's hard. It's hard for parents out there with kids with all these costs these days to be able to balance all these things. And if you're struggling in that situation, just remember you're not by yourself, that it is a very, very common situation. But all the stuff we talk about on the podcast in terms of setting meaningful goals, sticking to a budget, growing your wealth, that will give you options now and in the future. We'll wrap it up there. Much love for watching this episode. Please give us a review, give us a like, and subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers.